I'm having chest pains. Hey, it's Timidity. I don't know how to even start this video. Let's just say I'm having bad thoughts. It could be any reason. It could be the fact that maybe my heart's just weak from a lot of non-stop overnight shifts and maybe a little bit too much sleep and maybe a little bit too much fattening foods and maybe not enough exercise or hobbies. And maybe, I don't know, maybe it's the excessive amount of caffeine I've been doing that's been making my heart race like crazy. All I can say is a bitch is tired. And not just tired from work or tired from shitty food and high amounts of coffee mixed with teas and God knows what. I'm just tired of life. I guess I'll go on this little rant. Full disclosure, I have had homicidal thoughts, and I still actively do, almost every fucking day. I've had them since I was very young. When I was younger, they just were small shit, like, one day, I really hope I can, stab my sister or just have her vanish and disappear. And I think I had those thoughts as young as 7, 8, just really young. I remember mentioning at the dinner table, hey, one day I'm gonna, my stepdad said something like, hey, you better be careful, sister's name, because I'm not gonna reveal her identity. She doesn't deserve any sort of recognition. She doesn't deserve to be known. I remember he said something like, hey, sister's name, you better be careful, because one day Tamia's gonna see you and she's gonna be ready. And I said, yeah, with a knife. And my family quickly was like, no, 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 don't say that, don't say that. And I just have, let's just say, I don't really have any feelings about the, death or murder or suicide. When I was younger, suicide, I remember we took this field trip in middle school for an anti-bullying thing that also had triggering topics in the film they made us watch in theater that talked about suicide and bullying. And in the first 15 seconds of the movie, actually not the first 5 seconds, the first words were, my son killed himself a few years back and today's the anniversary. And then the girl I was sitting next to basically just saw me instantly sobbing hella hard. She's like, the movie just started, you already crying? I'm like, yeah, because it's so sad. And it was so sad because I thought suicide is the worst thing in the world. And also I thought I'd much rather, instead of killing yourself, I'd rather you off the person who hurt you. And honestly, to this day, I still believe that. Even though, ironically, there have been times where I've just laid in bed completely still, thinking I could easily go to their house right now. I know the lady I can get the weapons from. Just unlicensed, unmarked. No one would have to know. If I wait long enough, I can do it. There's a few people I even can do it to today who probably forgot that I even have beef with them. And if you're wondering, why haven't you? I don't know, morals, guilt. Let's just say, of all the times I thought I could easily go to this guy's house, just knock on the door, he'll open it for me because he fucking loves me, and I could stab him right in the fucking neck because he's weak and I could get away with it. Or times I thought, oh, I know that one toxic ex-boyfriend who ruined most of my high school life by being sexually, emotionally, and physically abusive. I know his whole weird sexual fantasy about always wanting a girl to climb up to where his window is and knock on the door at night and then opening it so we could have sweet, sweet, passionate love all night. But he's a virgin to this day because no one likes him and he's an abusive fucking cunt. That's his karma. But if I really wanted to, I could just get my lingerie, take a nice quiet bus, leaving my phone and everything at home, seduce the fuck out of him and casually make out with him with some peanut butter under my tongue, and bada bing bada boom, the man with the peanut allergy is gone. And I could just watch him suffocate and watch his throat close and his eyes bleed. And he would finally know how I felt years before when he fucked me up, beyond repair. He'd know what that feeling in the throat was, in the chest. He'd know how it would feel to be terrified and to feel pain. And he'd be dead. But would that really make me feel better? I know I've been watching a lot of anime with my current boyfriend, who I love, by the way. He treats me very nicely. Longest relationship I've had so far, because he's the one who's just been the sweetest and has not been abusive or toxic. And he understands I have these thoughts. But he loves me and cherishes me. And honestly, I really respect that, despite even knowing all my series of disorders and disabilities and just large amounts of emotions, he still at the end of the day loves me. And even with my past and shit, he knows a decent amount of it, and he's just like, I don't really care about what you did in the past. Like, or at least bad shit you did in the past, because I don't. All that matters to me is who you are now, and that you're like, just being the best version of yourself. And that's true, and I really love and appreciate him. He's a wonderful guy. I gotta admit, though, I am kind of mad at how many people I've had mentally break me before I met him. It hurts. You don't know how that shit's like, and if you do, what the fuck was that sound? Was that a burr? Whatever. Moving on. They don't know what the fuck that's like. Like, you don't really know what it's like to be stressed out to the point of extreme emotional duress that you have extreme PTSD. You can't turn to everyone, not your fucking parents. Not like they'd give a shit anyway, they never did. You can't turn to your teachers, and you can't turn to your fucking therapist, because eventually, even when they believe you to the start, they'll eventually just go, oh, so I heard you have Asperger's. Are you sure you just didn't misunderstand them? I'm sorry, lady, how was I supposed to misunderstand this dude? Slamming my head against the fucking desk. And non-stop spreading sexual rumors about me to his friends, and threatening me whenever I didn't get back with him, ironically for being an abusive cunt. There's nothing to misunderstand. I've told multiple people in my life about being sexually assaulted. Multiple times. Ironically, my special ed teacher, she just... When I told her about being molested by my first ever boyfriend, she laughed. You ever had someone laugh at you when you tell them in depth what your fucking ex-boyfriend did? The way he grabbed me by the wrist and slammed me against the fucking wall under his patio? Have you ever had that? No, you don't know what that's like. And then you have to see that bitch for the rest of fucking high school. I hope she kills herself. Frankly, if she ever did just like off herself before I could get my hands on her, that would make me so happy. I know it sounds cruel, but some people I would just be in total jubilee if they died. I would be ecstatic. Like, I would just hop up like, woo! Fuck yeah! Woo! If that bitch ever died, ooh, I would find her gravesite not to leave flowers, but to dance on it. I would be singing, praising the Lord, amen, amen, because I want her gone. I do. I want everyone gone. I want anyone who's ever used me for sex knowing that I wanted love to be gone. I wanted anyone who, when I did just want sex, led me on to believe that they wanted something more, just to, appease their ego? To say they managed to trick me? Just for what? Some things can't be undone. I have constant wrist pain because the guy who statutory raped me when I was 17, I tried to stab myself in the wrist over him. I was not successful, but my art skills in drawing and ability to write and type has never ever been the same since. I have chest pains. I have nightmares. Sometimes I even have bad dreams where, ironically, it's good dreams. Like, oh, look, here's an alternate universe where you and this guy who hurt you so fucking bad are still friends. Because I always, despite my awful thoughts, think it would be so nice if they just treated me with more respect or care or love. Did they? No. No. And people say to just get over things. Bitch, if it were that easy, I'd be way over shit. I wouldn't wake up in the morning not wanting to wake up. Let's just say I'm having some bad thoughts. If I ever get the fucking money, a lot of people are gonna be gone. I want them gone. Okay. Now that I've got that out my system, I'll talk a little more. I was talking to one of my friends online, very lovely person, and we were talking about the comic series Tomie. And before you go, Tomie, why the fuck did you just go from talking in depth about wanting people in your life dead to a fucking comic series by Junji Ito? It's related. We were talking about the character Tomie and how she was a woman. I think this is also why I had such a volatile, like, post-work reaction. I just was remembering all the bad things people did to me. In a nutshell, the story of Tomie is this girl who basically, it's alluded to that she's like a bitch or a preppy girl, but the prettiest one in her grade. And everyone likes, or like, she's very well liked, like all the boys have crushes on her, but all the girls secretly hate her. And everyone has perceptions about her despite never even really bonding or talking to her. And the first comic, the first comic about it. In a nutshell, Tomie, she basically gets manipulated by her teacher into having sex. And as she's talking to her teacher, mind you, this is a story about a 15-year-old girl who's kind of a loner. Like, she got manipulated by her fucking teacher, a grown-ass man with a wife and everything, into having sex with him. And then when she was telling him in private on a field trip that, hey, I think I might be pregnant, he mentally snaps. And her boyfriend at the time overhears. Yes, she cheated on him, but at the same time, she's a victim. That's statutory. She was sexually assaulted. Like, she's not the bad guy here. Like, come on now. Like, not a smart move, but... Well, long story short, the boyfriend basically goes off the rails and shoves her off of a fucking cliff. And all her classmates witness this. And she basically fucking splatters on the ground and breaks a bunch of bones and shit. And everyone surrounds her body like, oh my god, she's fucking dead. Holy shit, what the fuck? But then the teacher's like, quiet, class, quiet. Here. And then he manipulates them. He's like, guess what? How about this? Think about it. This boy has a huge future, like, ahead of him. We can't dare ever think of, like, ruining his life. Like, Koichi's a good kid. Let's call him Koichi. Koichi's a good kid. And everyone's like, yeah, Koichi's really nice. Why do we even care about her? She was kind of a bitch anyway, right? And then they all just collectively decide, instead of, like, calling an ambulance or going, hey, let's call the police because you kind of, like, murdered a chick, they all just decide, yeah, let's just all take turns, like, getting undressed, cutting up Tomie's body into pieces, and then, like, finding places to bury or toss them out. But the worst part is, like, she ends up not even being dead from the fall. She broke some bones and, like, collapsed, but she was not deceased. So this is the fucked up part. She falls from the cliff, bang, gets knocked out, basically. And so as everyone's like, okay, how about this? We just cover up the crime, because we really like Koichi and fuck this bitch. So, as they get, like, I guess for some reason in the plot, they conveniently had a bone saw. I don't know why they did, but let's ignore it for plot's sake. As soon as the teacher starts sawing up the body with the other kids, she wakes up, terrified and pain, like, what the fuck's going on? And then the teacher says, everybody, act quick, now you're all accomplices. Hold her mouth shut, pin her down, and let's keep going. And then they basically, knowing that she's still alive and knowing that they can go back, still decide to keep hurting her until she eventually dies. And then they all just psychotically just wrap up pieces of her body in their lunchboxes and scatter them across the city so that it remains a mystery death. There's a plot point in this comic where they stage like a in-class fake morning session to seem like just being like, oh yes, Tomi Kawasaki or whatever her fucking name was, Tomi Kakazami, something like that. Oh, she will be missed. Ooh, they lit the incense, had her little school photo put up on a little board and shit, and they mourned her just for her to come into class like, oh, hey, everybody, what's going on? And scared the shit out of everyone. Everyone lost their fucking mind. And then even worse, people tried to run out of the classroom or go all the way across town just to keep running into her, and she would just keep being like, hey, so what's wrong? I had a really weird nightmare. Like, something bad it was a freaky nightmare. It was really bad. It hurt, too. It felt so realistic. Anyway, and she keeps trying to talk to people, but they all ignore her because they feel so much guilt. And they think, okay, we're either going insane, or this chick's a ghost,
or what the fuck's going on, and then eventually she just keeps showing up so often in their like real life, not in their thoughts or memories or hallucination. She's actually there. She ends up driving everyone crazy that like 98% of the class basically dropped out except for like two kids, and they all like moved out of state because they were so terrified of her. And even the teacher who like sexually assaulted her just goes fucking loco and skips to the next few towns over and has to even go to a mental hospital because he thinks he's going insane. The story also continues on where, like, well, I also, just spoiler alert, Tomi also has the ability to regenerate. Because she was cut into like 32 different pieces, the reason they kept seeing her all across town nonstop was because, I guess I'll put it like this. You know how when a lizard cuts its tail off, it regrows another one? It's kind of like that. Like, or let's imagine that if a lizard was cut in half, it would like regenerate and become two lizards from both halves. That's what happened to Tomi, and then eventually it was like 32 different versions of her, like clones, all with the exact same hive mind, were just going around town minding their business, just haunting kids who fucked her over. And this, like this, I'll say it like this: I really like that fucking story. Mainly because it also goes in depth about her like dating life even as she matures into her 20s and stuff. She keeps running into men who like fantasize about her and want her and love her, and she keeps being like, fuck no nigga, I don't want you. Or if she does entertain them, she's openly a bitch. She's like, okay, fine, you keep fucking begging me. Buy me this jewelry, buy me some foie gras. Like, just some fancy bougie shit, per city girl shit. Just for the men to, despite having the ability. Oh man, how do I even explain this next part? Long story short, the men usually at some point go insane and fucking kill her. Whether it's like they never even talked to her, they just got mad that she rejected them and they decided to off her. Or it's like they keep trying to see past what she's actually is, despite her blatantly being like, rude to them, or just like, I don't want to talk to you, I don't want to date you, stop going after me. I think you're pathetic, I think you're a loser. They still keep pursuing her until they eventually mentally snap and kill her. And I think the story hits so fucking hard for me because I think let's just start off with like the very first comic of when she's 15. I feel like I relate to that because growing up I had people who didn't really like me, and before you say, oh, it's because of, like, let's just say the reasons were like ableism or like the, well, I can't say colorism, let's say pretty privileged bullshit. It would be people assuming just from my skin tone or whatever that, oh, she probably thinks she's better than all of us. And I guess it would be weird. They'd project onto me. They'd think, oh, she's attractive or whatever. She must, and she's not talking to anybody. And she sits by herself. She must be a cold stone bitch. What a cunt. What a fucking whore. And like making up rumors or shitting on me whenever they had the chance. And it was so weird. Because it's like, no, bitch. I'm autistic. I'm autistic. You can't really play the she's a bitch. I am. It's like, oh, she's quiet. She's not talking to anyone. Yeah, that's because I'm sitting with the other kids in special ed class in the corner. None of us talk to anyone except for each other. Why? Because we're in fucking special ed. You fucking idiots. Fuck. And then, too, people, when they actually did talk to me, they'd always be like, oh my god, you're so much nicer than I expected. And it's like, yeah, maybe you should have tried to have a conversation with me before you spread rumors that I was a callous bitch and that I thought I was better than anybody and that I was stuck up in a hole. Like, you could have done, like, I just think that's stupid. Like, it's so stupid. I don't know if it's because I'm autistic or because I'm gay or because I'm not fucking insane or because maybe I don't know, some people grew up in rough neighborhoods where they just like assume the worst out of people because they have to. It's a survival skill to like always be on edge around people. And maybe I just didn't grow up super on edge like that. But like, to me, if I see someone who's pretty and quiet, I just think, oh, she's shy. And then I just leave her alone. But then if the situation comes to talk to her, I'll talk to her and I'll be fucking like, like I'll be fucking ecstatic. So whenever people just assumed I was a bitch, it would be wild. Or when, like, even people who knew I wasn't a bitch, they would just find shit, like, I don't know, like how, this one incident, like, I remember I was in fucking English class, And I'm like, it was a project about, ooh, a 10-year goal plan. And, well, I made what people said was a really cool poster. And it was one of those things where I don't even realize how good of a a artist I am until I'm around other people. And I won't even say, because I think everyone's art's cool. I don't just go on a hierarchy of, oh, my art's the best. If anything, I was thinking, my art's kind of extra. Because I drew hella little details, like I drew a Grammy, I drew a little graduation hat, I did shading and crazy ass colors and shit. And people, when they saw my poster, the teacher was like, oh my god, Tamia, look at that. And she held it up in class, and everyone was like, yo, what the fuck? Ooh, that's hella tight. Except for these two hating ass bitches. And then, of course, like, they just kind of glare at my artwork before one of them snickers to the other. Psh, they're just saying that because she's autistic. And they start cackling as if that's funny. And for years, I was like, really, or I think at least like 1 year, I was just like, that was a weird thing of them to do. Why are you ableist to me? I haven't done anything to you. Or at least so I, like, yeah, I haven't really done anything worth that to them. Fuck you. It was so weird. Until eventually later on the line, it was actually revealed, oh, they were just envious. Oh, okay. That's, huh. And it's not even one of those things where I'm flattered by it. I'm just confused by it. It's like, if you think someone has nice artwork, say, your artwork's nice. And if you think, damn, I don't draw anything like them, ask, hey, can you teach me how to draw? Or, I really like your shit. I think to be nice before I think to be a cunt. So, honestly, when I did read Tomi's, like, the backstory of, ooh, people thought she was a bitch, she didn't talk to anybody. Or maybe some of y'all were just haters. Like, she got the attention of all the dudes in the grade, and she was just quiet and cute and like had one friend and you all just assumed she was a cunt. Like, sometimes that shit does happen and I don't like it whatsoever. People are weird. And this is coming from the chick who just spent like 10 solid minutes talking about killing her special ed teacher. Moving on. Also, if that bitch ever gets murked, don't look my way. It could have been anybody. She has a lot of enemies. My special ed teacher also was the type to say, ooh, Lalita, a hauntingly beautiful story. It's a story about a 12-year-old or like a fucking child getting molested repeatedly by the guy who kind of killed her mother. Why are you allowed around kids? Moving on. And another thing in the Tomie story is that I feel like they also did, like, she's a victim. She's a victim of sexual assault from a teacher, someone she trusted. Like, she was fucked up by a teacher. She was fucked up by her boyfriend. Sure, she cheated on him, but at the same time, one can be like, yeah, but that was a grown man being a cunt and, like, molesting her. So, like, she's still a victim. It's like, yeah, she's not nice for cheating on her boyfriend, but you gotta understand, older people can be really fucking disgusting about how they go about things and really get in a girl's head. Or just anyone who's older can get in a young person's head very quickly to their advantage. It's a disgusting thing and I fucking hate it. Moving on. I just feel that story so much because even though, like, in some chapters, or most, they try to portray her as a bitchy character, deep down I feel like she's not. She's someone who sets boundaries and standards and asserts herself and is open about, like, what she wants and who she wants to be. Like, when she's not interested in a guy, she will say, fuck no. Or she'll be like, leave me alone. And then that guy will try to kill her and then she'll come back, like, with hella clone versions of herself and murk that nigga or drive him insane to the point where he kills himself with those he truly loves around him. And I don't know, my friend and I were talking about this story the other night, and she was like, yeah, this story I feel like is a good example on, like, male entitlement and, like, how they can really lust after a woman despite knowing nothing about her, and lust after her, crave her, fantasize about her until they drive themselves mad, even if they truly don't know the girl deep down, or they overlook everything about the girl to have what they desire. And how if the girl doesn't do what he wants, he will punish her. And I just felt that so bad because I feel like that actually sums up a large portion of what's happened to me in my life. And I hate it so much. It makes me sick. It makes me sick that it's ever, like, it's like, it's not fun getting used just to, like, fulfill some guy's fantasy. Like, ooh, so it's like, oh, if I have a male friend, I have to be his therapist, his mother, and his manic pixie dream girl. Someone fuckable, but still kind of like his mother, and still very nice to him all the time. I'm not a fan of that. Why can't? And also, they don't fucking reciprocate that shit, or they really do a good job because they weren't raised in an environment where they could safely express themselves either. But they still take it out on me whenever something, ouch, bad happens to them. I think that's fucking pathetic. I think it's fucking lame, a whole bunch of shit. I think it's lame that I kept trying to leave dudes in high school, simply, like, even in the nicest way possible, and they would go out of their way to be a cunt. Like, I literally left my second ex boyfriend. It was just because he tried to cheat on me. Like, like, you're dating me and claiming you're happy, but then why do I have to hear from other people that you're actually trying to, like, text and, like, see if you can hook up with this one chick who ghosted you at summer camp? And that was also had me steam, because it's like, wow, you can't even the audacity to try to cheat and you can't even pull. It's like someone who ghosted you. Oh, that pissed me off. And then I was really much nicer about it than anyone ever could. Like, most bitches would have cursed his ass out and flayed him and thrown his body parts in the street. But me, I was just like, hey, so, I don't know, I feel that was really fucked up, but listen, we should be single for now. We should just be friends, and we can reconnect later if that's what you want. But for now, I think we need to be friends, and you could just figure out what you want. Like, if you want that girl, that's okay. And this nigga got mad, like, because I wouldn't be a placeholder for him to see if he could actually fuck some other chick who he supposedly wanted. And then his proper response to that, despite multiple times of me being like, and please let me know if there's an issue, because sadly, it was an abusive relationship. He would not let me leave peacefully. So many issues with that guy. I'd be like, so I said 8 different times, please let me know if you have an issue, or like if you want to talk about something, if you feel hurt or in distress. I really want to talk things out with you. And each time he's like, no, I'm fine, I'm fine. Just for like, me and his friends had a group hangout. I thought they were my friends too, but that day showed me they sure fucking weren't. Because they all started treating me like shit, like acting like I was a fucking nuisance to be around. Like, just being, like, if I show up to a fucking group trip and I'm like, hey, everybody, nice to see you. And then everyone's just like, hey. Or just give me the cold shoulder and all that shit. And I have to be stuck around those assholes. That actually, now that I remember it, I almost jumped off of a railing in fucking Westfield Mall in San Francisco because of that. I thought, I want to fucking die. Like, if this is just what my life's gonna be, just endlessly being punished for not reciprocating the affections of some dude who doesn't deserve me in the first place and doesn't even truly want me for me, then what's the life worth living? But I stayed alive because I thought, no, I need to stay alive because one day I'll have the freedom to be around who I want when I want. I'll have money, I'll live life of luxury, I'll just be peaceful. And I'll be far away from these people who never forgot they existed. And here I am. I think that's quite nice. And then I went home. And then he sent me a bunch of guilt trippy ass messages trying to be like, oh, I'm sorry about today, that was my bad, blah, blah, blah. And then basically, I didn't even go off on him. Like, let me just say, I'm a majority peaceful person. And I know you're thinking, bitch, you just spent 10 minutes talking about how you'd fucking kill, like, this exact ex by poisoning him with peanut butter, like, during sex. And the answer is, well, yeah, but that's because I'm in the future, and I, like, in the past, I was peaceful, because I thought this guy is just very unique to the situation and going through things, he's immature. But now that I know what exactly he did to me for fucking years until I left high school, now I'm in a state where it's like, yeah, I want him dead. It would be so easy. I could get away with it. If anything, this video is evidence so that if he ever does go missing or gets fucking murdered or mysteriously dies in his bedroom with his dick out and peanut butter under his tongue, you know it was me. So, yeah. Let's just say I was a lot peaceful back then because I didn't know what he would do to me when I was so nice to him and accommodating. I was overly accommodating to him, and he decided, okay, now's the time to spread rumors about her at school, try to leak her nudes to my male best friends, the same ones who taunted her the day before, and let's just totally fuck her life up and then lie to teachers about what actually happened, so that then I make her look like the bad guy. Even though all I literally said was like, hey, you were really immature. You said that you were completely fine just to, like, fucking make me look like the bad guy for saying we should be friends instead of dating so that you can go for the girl you really want. Like, why are you dragging me into this bullshit, basically? And I said, now I don't know if I don't think I ever want to date you again. Plus, I don't even think I could be your friend right now because of just how severe you've like broken my trust and shown me how out of pocket things can really get. And he just like, let's just say, he ran his mouth. Teachers took his side when they shouldn't have, and they didn't even bother to get my side of the story. They just immediately assumed that I was the antagonist. And then he proceeded to harass and bully me for multiple years later. Like, multiple years. And he just was obsessed with me. It's very tiresome. And I hate shit like that. It did just extreme damage. Oh, shit like that is why I'm kind of a misandrist. And if you're wondering that, yes, I do kind of really don't like men. I just find them very pathetic and useless and stupid and pointless and idiotic. And honestly, so far this has just been proven by a lot more like dating and hookup experiences. One idiot who also fucked me up, before they fucked me up, they said some very wise words called, "Men don't even know what they want." Which is exactly why. It'll be a dude saying, "Oh yeah, I just want a one night stand, nothing more than that, just one pump and dump, and we never see each other again." And the next thing you know, they're like, "Hey, can we hold hands? You wanna cuddle? Come here, why are you sitting so far?" And like snuggle me into their chest and shit like a weirdo, or try and give me forehead kisses, or ask me out on dates, and like, don't do that weird shit. Because it's like, why are you trying to fuck me up? I've been fucked up enough times in my lifetime. Stop, like, that shit makes me want to get violent. Man, I won't go too much in detail further, but just, I really like her story. And also, my friend even told me that it also reflects real life. Like, the men in the story, like, they're, let's just say, people interpret the story of Tommy multiple ways. Some people can do the broke mindset of, ooh, she was just a callous bitch that hurts men for no reason over and over again. But the woke mindset is Tommy actually did nothing wrong. She set boundaries and had high standards and basically was an assertive woman who knew what she wanted and knew what she didn't. And she would be vocal about that. And men didn't like that, so they'd kill her. And then always in the story there's some sort of excuse like, oh, what? She was so mean to him, or oh, but she didn't like him and like kept seeing him and all this bullshit. When we don't know the full story. You just assume that this woman deserved to be killed or that the guy should be excused without knowing her side of the story. And I kind of hate that. Because I feel like men get a lot more leeway towards their violence with women than the vice versa. And honestly, that's another reason why I've kind of done a lot of bad things in my life after a certain point. Because I was just like, fuck it. I know that if roles were reversed and I did even like 2% of what this guy did to me, next thing you know, I'd be beheaded and my head would be found behind the fucking Skyline High School trash can. And then all anyone could say was, oh, well, he was depressed. He had anxiety. He's a young man. Young men don't know how to handle their emotions, especially around pretty women. She was a temptress. She was this. She was that. She was cocky, like all types of shit. They make all sorts of excuses. So eventually, at some point, I just mentally snapped and I was like, I'm just going to start hurting men back as hard as possible. These are stories I'll go into depth to another time, but let's just say I don't truly regret anything I've done. Because if I was even telling people this last night, if I could go back in time, I'd do 10 times worse. Because now that I'm older and wiser and have more resources and time to just realize how much they really fucked me up, I'd really fuck them up. They would not be here. I gotta piss. So I'll wrap this up. I scratched it, kind of whips the hair out of my face. I hate when that happens. I'll put it like this. I like the story of Tomie because I just feel myself within her. She's a very pretty girl, living a lonely life, just at the disposal of men. Like, every fucking day that she exists in these stories is just her being at the fucking reins, like, just handed the reins of some man's emotional state. Despite it being in her will, and if she tries to say, fuck this shit, don't give me this shit to take control of, I'm not your mother, I'm not your girlfriend, I'm not your baby girl, I'm not nothing, then she ends up getting murdered. But she always regenerates and comes back, gets revenge and moves on, and the cycle repeats. I just relate to her so bad. And it hurts. I wish I wasn't hurt as much as I had in my life. And honestly, you know, let's just say another reason I've been on my rant is because I know, eh, if a dude hurt me awfully and irreversibly and I suddenly died, I don't think anyone would really, you know, or at least very limited people would actually be like, he did a bad thing and he should be punished. So whenever I am very vocal about who hurt me or whatever, ironically, I've been the most punished just for communicating or sharing my emotions or being vulnerable and honest because, oh, it might ruin a guy's life. I don't care. I will say my rapist's names and address. I will say exactly what every fucking person did to me. I think that's important. I don't want anyone else to get hurt the way I did. So I think that's also a factor to why I've had such bad thoughts, because I think if I got rid of it, no one else could go through what I went through. But moving on. I don't know if I'm not saying I will do any of the things I described in the first 10 minutes of this video, let's just say. If you're the type that thought I was crazy for my rants talking about how I've been hurt repeatedly by men and women alike, but mostly men, and my abusers and how I want them off the face of this planet, and you thought Tamia something's wrong with you, yes, we know. We know. But if you thought Tamia is fucked up and wrong and deserves to be in jail or whatever, I haven't done anything. But if you're the type of person to say that I'm wrong, but ironically, if it were a dude going through tons of shit with women, you would just be like, oh, he's going through emotions, blah blah blah, defending him. I think you need to get a real nice long look in the mirror and get a nice reality check and like just, you know, look at it with your hands and then shove that shit up your ass, because go fuck yourself. Stop with the double standards. If it's wrong for me to think bad thoughts about men who hurt me, then it's wrong for bad men to think bad thoughts about me for feeling some type of way at their own awful actions. I've been gaslit too many times in my life by shitty people who 1 second wanted one thing, then 1 second wanted another, and wanted to have their cake and eat it too, and just traumatized me at their, just, you know, treating me like shit and traumatizing me without caring how I'd feel, despite knowing they were wrong, and just deciding to do it anyway, and sometimes repeatedly. I hope they all burn in hell. They probably do. I hope they just turn into nice little kebabs in hell, just seared and burned. Anyway, moral of the story, be nice to people. It's very important. Do I have anything else to add? I think I'm okay for now. I'm gonna go piss. So good luck to anyone who watches this video. Thank you so much for listening. Have a nice day. Unless you're one of the bad people I described, then karma's gonna come to you in one way or another. God bless. Amen. Have a nice one. God bless.